Welcome to everybody. Thank you for the invitation for the seminar. Thank you for being here. My name is Milan Weimert, working for the company KIWO Wolf, and I would like to show you some basic information about the company. Good. So, as you may know or may have heard, KIWO is a German company. We are still based with our headquarters in Wiesloch, Germany, 80 kilometers south from Frankfurt. This is the original company, basically. This is the original villa where our owner, the company, the family Eisenbeiß used to live. The company just celebrated a few years ago 125th anniversary, so it's quite a long existing company. Basically, as you can see on the picture, this is our headquarters, including production here on the facility.
So everything is in-house?
Yes, basically, yes. Research and development, production, sales, application laboratories where we test our products and before releasing them. So everything is basically in-house. What does KIWO Wolf do? So predominantly we are a chemical factory specialized on screen printing, producing photo emulsions for screen printing. Basically from A to Z, what you need for a stencil making, we produce. No mesh, no inks. Beside that, we are producing also cleaners, all the chemistry for reclaiming the mesh, so everything you might need for your stencil making. We are also quite big in adhesives. We do have a department specialized on flock and industrial adhesives. And we also have our applications technology and textile printing and adhesive printing department, which is more focused on textile and industrial adhesives.
So you told us you have everything from A to Z. So what is the
maybe a few letters are missing.
What is the first product which is needed for screen printing?
I build up the presentation so we go through the process. The first process step would be, of course, stretching and bonding the mesh. As I mentioned, we don't produce the mesh, we don't produce the frames, but we produce a very well-known product, which is the frame adhesive called KIWO Bond. You might have heard it. It's one of the, I think that's the best sold frame adhesive worldwide. We have this product for decades, and it works very well. We do have in 2-component version and also have in 1-component UV curable version, this adhesive.
And what is better? Or what is most common?
Better, it's really depending on your needs. If you need a completely smell-free product, then I would of course use the UV curable version. But the main sales are in the 2-component, which is adhesive plus hardener. That's the very well-established brand. And it's, yeah.
And can I use the frame immediately after the bonding?
Yes and no. Yes, because immediately after drying, you have the mechanical resistance, so the mesh will stay there, will keep the tension, but the chemical resistance, which will be also needed when you wash it with solvent or store it in water by decoating and so on. So the chemical resistance builds up only in 8 hours. So the best we recommend, if it's needed, yeah, you can use it immediately afterwards, but be careful with the washing. Otherwise, after 8 hours or the next day, you are free to do basically more or less everything with it. Yeah, this product, well, what are the key benefits for such a product? Why are we so successful with that? It should be easy to apply, of course. It should be very versatile, so nobody wants to use separate products for coarse mesh and fine mesh. This product will do the whole range of mesh counts. Of course, it should be heat resistant and very strongly solvent resistant. Okay. After we have our mesh bonded to the frame, before coating, we strongly recommend to pre-treat the mesh, to clean the mesh.
And what we see here on this picture?
On these pictures, you can see basically what I would like to talk. On the left-hand side, okay, on the right-hand side, you see a non-treated mesh, what we wetted with normal water, tap water. And as you can see, the water doesn't form a complete uniform water film, which means that the surface tension of the mesh is slightly different here and there. Even though quality mesh producers are doing pre-treatment, which works for a certain time, but maybe the second or third use or reuse of the mesh, this treatment doesn't have the same effect, and you get something like this. On the left-hand side, we did a pre-treatment with our pre-treating product, and we wetted also. You don't see anything because it's a complete water film. So the surface tension on the mesh is equal everywhere, which will absorb water, hold water, keep water. It's very important because emulsions containing a lot of water. So if the mesh likes the water, the mesh will like the emulsion also, which means it will have a better bonding, which will result you can print longer.
So you think it's necessary to degrease the
Degreasing, sure, absolutely, because you touch it with your hands. It will be fingerprints all around, dust from the air, contamination from the environment, hot melt powder, sometimes offset powder, chemistry. So it's surely recommended to do at least degreasing, but what we recommend is rather the pre-treatment with a special product, which is also a degreaser and some more.
So we are talking about the surface tension also.
Sorry?
We are talking also about the surface tension.
Exactly. With this product, you can equalize the surface tension of the mesh and make it to the correct level, so the mesh will accept the emulsion much better. This is what you can see here, basically. The right-hand side was non-treated, the left-hand side was treated. Then we did a full coating, step exposure, so underexposed, overexposed part. And of course, if you underexpose an emulsion, it will peel off. And you can see that it peeled off from the untreated part, but it didn't peel off from the treated part. And this difference, of course, on the optimal exposure time will be still there and have the effect that you can print much longer with your stencil. Okay. A few words about emulsions. I don't want to get too much in details because that would be boring for you, I guess.
So for the first, how many emulsions you have?
Okay, well, I don't know. We have a lot. We have over 400 recipes, that's for sure. We don't have 400 emulsions, but we have a lot of emulsions.
So every printing process have their own emulsion?
You can divide it into main groups, but we try to focus and we developed these emulsions specifically for certain applications, sometimes specifically for large customer demands. It should dry within, I don't know how many seconds, it should be red, it should have such and such viscosity and thickness. So we have a lot of specific emulsions also. It's hard to choose, that's why I have my job. So basically I know these parameters and I can assist you, and so like you guys, technicians from Service Centrum, they understand the differences and they are able to assist to choose the right emulsion according to the customer needs, according to your needs. But talking about emulsions, two main groups I would divide: dual cures and SBQs. Dual cures are the two components ones, where you put diazo in it to sensitize it. SBQs are the one component versions, which are ready to use. The main difference, what I would say, is the exposure time. So SBQ emulsions are much faster compared to dual cures. But dual cures has also its benefit. I can show it maybe here on this picture. So basically, you have dual cure SBQ, exposure time, and there's a certain optimal range where the emulsion within the time will give the best performance you would like. Below that would be underexposed. Over that, it would be overexposed. And you can see that even SBQ is quite fast, but it has a very narrow gap. So you have to be really precise with your exposure. If you use a dual cure, you have a much larger or wider spectrum. Wider spectrum to play with it.
So which one is better?
It depends on the customer, depends on their needs, and depends on our offer, if it's the right one or not. So I cannot tell you which is the best emulsion. It's really depending on you what is the best for you. That's why we have so many. So you have the possibility to find a suitable one.
And so for which type of jobs I will use dual cure?
Dual cure you can use basically almost for everything. You can use it for textile, you can use it for industrial printing, even fine line printing, where we're talking about micron thick line width under 50 microns. So it's dual cures are a lot of, but it has a really good resolution. It's easy to use. So I would offer for customers who don't want to hassle a lot of with it. SBQs are more for the more precise customers who can really keep the same exposure level, and with that you can maximize your screen throughput because it exposes very fast. So for example, large printers where on daily basis 60, 70 screens has to be exposed, even half a minute difference would make a few hours difference if you make so many screens. Okay, did I understand? Talking about overexposure and stuff, here are some pictures maybe which will also explain better. So influence of too short exposure time, which means underexposed stencils. The PVA, which is the base material of the emulsion, has to be polymerized. But if the emulsion doesn't receive the sufficient amount of UV energy, so too less time, too short exposure time, then the unexposed part, which is always on the squeegee side, will be washed out, and that's why you will have a poor resistance on the resistance of the screen, and which can give you delamination on the print, during the print. And of course that would be a problem. You have to stop the machine, and time is ticking, money is flying. And on top of that, you might have also decoating problems, which you will see only at the end of the whole process, and will give you headache, time, and you have to clean much more. Too long exposure time, overexposure. Basically here what I want to show is that normally these negative and positive lines should be the same width, because on the film we made it for the same width. But if you overexpose it, you will see that positive lines were getting too wide and negative lines are getting too narrow. So basically, emulsion is growing where you don't need. It will block maybe dots, fine lines, you will lose details, or you will have a completely different picture. In extreme cases, maybe you can even close a full line and nobody will see it on the print. And if there's the one thing you will remember from this presentation and this picture, this is what you should get if you want to have a fully accurate reproduction of your films. This is what I mentioned. On the film, these lines are equally 25 micron thick. And this is the stencil, basically, what we were able to produce. And you can see we measured it with a microscope, and it's pretty damn good accurate if you have the right exposure time.
How can I choose the right exposure time?
We have tools, we have knowledge, we have tools to show you, but basically it's a step exposure what you have to make, so different exposure times on the same stencil or different stencil, but that costs too much. And basically compare, and under a microscope you have to examine the stencil, which is the correct time for this thickness of emulsion on this kind of mesh to achieve something like this. We have tools. We have a film, an exposure check film, which is called KIWO Expo Check. It's quite easy to use. Thomas or the other technician guys can show you, teach you how to use it. It's a very useful tool. Basically, on one screen, you can reproduce 10 different exposure times. So basically, for the first exposure, you will see immediately what is the correct exposure time, what I have to use to reproduce my imagined design.
So we can try it on the next workshop next month.
Exactly. Yeah, there's going to be a next workshop which will be more focused on stencil making. I will be hopefully planned. I will be also here, and we would like to show that how to work with this Expo Check, which I think would be quite a useful tool on long term for each of you. Okay. After exposure, after printing with perfect inks, you have to clean your mesh or stencil. Seems to be easy. Everybody wants to buy the cheapest because it's just
the cheapest?
The cheapest possible. But you have to bear in mind a few things. For example, this legislation, which is in Europe, it's a must to have, which says basically that the flash point of the solvent what you use to clean on press has to be over 40 Celsius. If it's in a machine or it's just a circulation system or a large automatic machine, it should be minimum 50 Celsius. Why? Because of danger of expsosure. So basically, below these flash points, you are not allowed legally to use cleaners.
And how can you choose the right cleaner? Because you have a lot of cleaners,
yeah,
right?
Again, cleaners are the second topic which we have a lot. Luckily, we have the knowledge and we are able to transfer it to you by asking such questions and clearing such questions with answers from you. What kind of cleaner you need? Well, first of all, for manual or machine cleaning you are looking for. Do you have? Would you like to clean once again or flush it with water? Then we would offer a water emulsifiable solvent. Do you need it biodegradable or it's not an issue for you? How fast it should dry? That could be a task on the machine. You need a fast drying, of course, or a slower drying if you use a machine not to have so much solvent in the air. You need a concentrate or a straight solvent you would like to use. Would you like to mix it with water, dilute it with water to have an eco-friendly version, smell less, an eco-friendly version of the solvent? So a lot of things to clear. That's where I can help or the guys from Service Centrum can help for you. Okay?
And now we have a screen without the ink, but still with the stencil.
Yeah, then comes... normally, if you don't want to store it, then you want to decoat it to reclaim the mesh and being able to reuse the mesh because mesh is also not cheap. We have a series of products, again, quite a few. Mainly these are, nowadays, they are concentrated versions. We do have powder, but it's a bit old-fashioned, I would say. Now it's better to use concentrate. They are much more stable, so if you mix a batch of 20 liters, for example, it will be active. It stays active for a long time. If you would use a powder, usually it will start to crystallize, and then the power is also going down, the cleaning power. Yeah, and of course, if you open that's my problem. If you open a sachet of powder, immediately some particles will come off. I'm allergic to it. I'm starting to itch everywhere. I have allergic reactions, so I don't use powder anymore. And that's what I can recommend also to use. Concentration. Yes, and after decoating, of course, we have decoders for manual and also for machine. And after decoating, common problem to have some ghost images. And we have, of course, different kind of cleaners for ghost images. Most probably that's the best pairing which works well against in-ghost images, diazo ghost images, emuslsion ghost images. So that's what we can offer for them. Yeah.
So do you have, sorry for
that.
Yeah,
no, I'm okay.
Because I think you have something really special for the textile printers.
We do have some products which could be more interesting or dedicated for the textile printers. We have a very interesting pellet adhesive, which is not in a spray form, even though we are producing this KIWO Fix SX, which you are using. Many people likes it, but it's still an aerosol, and it still makes quite a lot of dust particles, spray particles on the machine, on your precious machine, hopefully in green color. So to avoid this, and it's also flammable, then you have the wastage, and then you have to throw out the can. Usually you have to pay for it if you collect it. To dispose it. And we have invented a product which is basically we are selling in a 5-liter container. It's a water-based, non-flammable, non-smelly, non-toxic liquid adhesive.
And the application?
The application for pellets.
Application of the glue to the pellet.
Sorry, how to apply it. Yeah, I understand. You can apply, you need pressure air, which most of you, I guess, you have in your print shop, and you need a spray pistol or spray gun, spray pistol. That's the correct expression, most probably. Or if you want to avoid the mist, you can put it in we call it ketchup bottle. You know, this bottle with a small nose, and you can also put it on the pellet, and with a squeegee, separate squeegee, you can disperse it, and you have it done. It will last long. It holds quite good. It's strong. I can recommend it. Give a try for that. Other thing would be maybe for digital printers, because we are more and more of that also. We are also a producer of the blanket adhesive, so the blanket which holds the textile, the fabric on the printing plate, basically. We are also a producer of the blanket adhesives, specially designed for the new-fashioned digital printers also, because we are coming from the old-fashioned Zimmer machines, huge 30-meter long printing blankets. These machines has also the printing blanket, and you have to fix your textile. So we can offer you also a KIWO series of blanket adhesives for that. Okay. Yes, I think that was all from my side. I hope you heard something interesting. If you have any kind of question, please ask me or the guys from Service Centrum.
So thank you very much, Milan.
Thank you. Sorry, thank you.
Já děkuji Milanovi, ale děkuji i Tomášovi.